Welcome back to my channel. I'm your host, Daleen Bickle, and in last week's video, I shared how writers can overcome 4 common objections when it comes to networking. And so today I want to discuss 5 essential networking tips for writers. And so one of the best ways to promote yourself as a writer is networking because that enables other people to help promote your brand and your books, even when you're not around, right? You have lots of other people helping to spread the word. It's causing those ripples to get out about your books. So let's dive in to the 5 essential networking tips for writers, shall we? First, before you introduce yourself to someone new, I highly recommend that you have an elevator pitch prepared. Okay. This is something that members of my Inkwell writing community worked on in January. If you'd like access to the replay of that workshop, as well as access to weekly writing sessions every Wednesday, plus exclusive live access to our monthly craft chats, which this year are centered all around marketing, be sure to learn more by clicking the link in the description. Okay. But back to elevator pitches. You want to develop a 1 to 2 minute summary, something really concise that includes these elements: what you write, who you're writing for, what makes your writing unique from your competitors, and what you'd like that person that you're talking to do. You give them a call to action. Okay. So let me know in the comments if you would like me to create a video all about elevator pitches. I can go much deeper into that if that's something that interests you. Okay. But that's my first tip today. Have an elevator pitch ready before you go networking. Okay. Then 2 is go attend in-person events. Okay. Don't just rely solely on online events and summits and conferences and workshops and webinars. Those are all great, but don't just rely on those and social media groups. Okay. Look at upcoming events in your area. I know Facebook has actual events that are happening live in person in your area. Eventbrite is another great website to go to find out what's going on. Most area news channels and newspapers have website pages devoted to upcoming local events. And maybe ministry organizations in your area have about Christian events coming up that you could participate in as a Christian author. So look to see if any of those list any writing groups, critique groups, book festivals or events. Maybe there are going to be some upcoming bookstore events or library events. There are all kinds of things happening, especially now that it's springtime and everybody is wanting to get out and about. Now, the winter weather is hopefully behind us for the most part in most of our country, right? So see if you can attend those in person. But if there isn't anything being offered that you can find, maybe that's a sign that you should create your own event. Okay, just putting it out there, something to consider. The third tip for networking is to get to know your local bookstore owners and employees. Okay, I highly recommend that you get to know them while you're still in the writing stage of your book, rather than waiting until you have your book in hand and then going in and expecting them to sell your book, right? Become a regular customer and maybe help them with some of their bookstore events. Remember, friends tend to support friends, right? You get to know them, you become friends, they'll be much more receptive. But this is a really large point I want to make here. You have to make sure that your book is professionally done, right? It's a professional quality book. And if you want it to be carried in a bookstore, especially a chain bookstore, you have to make it available through a reputable distributor at wholesale discounts. Okay. Now, I know that there are local indie bookstores a lot of times and other types of businesses that might carry your book on consignment and buy directly from you. That is great too, but you still have to have a quality book, or no one is going to want to put it on their shelves or on their counter space. If you want more information about how you can possibly get your self-published book into a Christian indie bookstore, I encourage you to listen to my podcast, Ink and Impact, in episode 74. That will give you a lot more tips in this area. I will have a link to that in the description below as well. All right, fourth tip that I'm going to share with you today. Ready? If you plan to go on a blog or podcast tour when you launch your book, read those blogs, listen to those podcasts in advance to make sure that your material, your book is going to be a good fit for their audience, right? I think you already know that. But while you're reading and listening, this is the networking tip, post comments on their blog or send an email occasionally to the podcast host to let them know what you appreciate about their blog or their podcast. What was something specifically that you took away from those particular episodes? It's a way to introduce yourself and build rapport organically. Believe me, as a podcast host, when someone, um, you know, sends me an email and tells me what they liked about a particular episode, or when they read my blog and leave a comment, I notice them, right? I pay attention to their name. And if they were to later ask me to be a guest on my podcast, I would be very receptive to consider them, especially if their podcast pitch matched my criteria for the podcast, right? It has to do that as well, right? But those are simple things that we can do to network. That's not sleazy, that doesn't cost money, but it does take a little bit of time and energy, right? And the fifth tip that I'm going to share today is that occasionally it's going to be a rushed conversation, right? Especially that's why I said about having a 1 to 2 minute elevator pitch, because you might not have an extended 20-minute coffee chat with them, right? So if they're not local to you, but you sense there was some connection that you might be able to work with them in some way down the road, or there was some other networking opportunity possible in the future, you still want to get to know them, then schedule a Zoom call with them, just a friendly chat to get to know each other. No expectations. It's just a way to get to know each other. And sometimes they might invite you to a Zoom chat. So the tip here is to take advantage of those opportunities. Don't be afraid to ask and don't say no to just simple, networking conversations. And don't shy away from being on camera, with Zoom. Don't let that be a deterrent. Let your message and the light of Christ shine. Okay. All right. So those are my 5 essential networking tips for writers. Although networking doesn't always come naturally or easily for writers, it does offer a multitude of rewards. And when we step out of our comfort zone and rely on God's guidance, we develop resiliency, right? And we build our trust in God even more. So, networking with others also prevents us from being isolated. That's a real issue with many of us writers. We write alone a lot of times. And so networking gets us out of our isolation and helps us sell more books, right? Potentially, provided it's a quality book. I'm always going to underscore that, right? But most importantly, networking enables us to grow in both community and grace, right? The more people we meet, the more personalities we face, right? We encounter different types of people. And by God's grace, we learn how to be the light of Christ to not just our readers, but to the members of our communities as well. So I hope this video has served you well. If you liked it, if you took away something from this, I encourage you to subscribe by clicking the notification bell below, and so you won't miss out on any future videos. And if you are planning to self-publish a book in the next year or so, I highly encourage you to download my free self-publishing checklist. It's going to walk you through the entire self-publishing process. It's a comprehensive checklist that is something every indie author really needs so that they are not overlooking any important steps along the way. Okay. Download the checklist today so you can self-publish with clarity and confidence. So grab your copy using the link in the description below. Until next time, have a blessed day.